Wednesday, December 7th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. I'm meteorologist Matthew East, and a pretty intense storm system overall pulling into the region. We're on the mild side of the system here in the Carolinas this morning. A lot of 60s for current temperatures. That's pretty impressive when you consider the average high temperatures in much of at least the Piedmont of North Carolina this time of year are in the low and mid 50s. So we're way above average if this were our high temperature. And we're here at the typically coolest point of the day. But here comes the colder air. Let's take a look at the temperature map this morning. Here it comes. A lot of single digits and teens over much of the middle part of the country. And that colder air is plunging southeastward. Now here's the radar imagery this morning. And all this is rain in this area right there. But this activity back into the Tennessee Valley is snow. And snow is flying in places like Memphis this morning. Check this out. A couple of the DOT cameras. Well, actually, this is a shot from AutoZone Park there in Memphis. The ground whitened, and there's one of the DOT cameras with the snow flying there along State Road 385 and I-240 there around the Memphis area. So, pretty impressive. And for the second time in as many weeks, the Tennessee Valley getting accumulating snow. And those are winter weather advisories for North Mississippi, Western Tennessee, Eastern Arkansas, and into northernmost Alabama. It's also winter weather advisories for the mountains of North Carolina, as that the rain will kick over to snow up that way later on. More on that in just a second. Now, there's the day one convective outlook. You have a C-text area for the parts of the mountains, foothills, and Piedmont of North Carolina on up into Virginia and the Delmarva Peninsula, and can't rule out a strong thunderstorm or two. Although I don't think the severe weather threat is all that great today, the instability is pretty limited. But it's an intense upper level disturbance swinging in, briefly taking on a negative tilt here by this afternoon. This is the European model. And a reinforcing push of colder air arrives over the weekend too, so we're heading back into colder air. Here's what the GFS looks like as we get into early afternoon. Yeah, you notice this is snow falling back here in the Tennessee Valley. And rain out ahead of the system on the milder side. You go 6 hours later and it's kicked over to snow here in the mountains. Let me get the right illustration here. The mountains of North Carolina on up into the Virginias. 6 hours later, that snow spreading into the northeastern part of the country as we get into this evening and tonight. Here's what the RPM looks like in terms of snow accumulation. And notice this is snow on the ground back into the Tennessee Valley. And the snow will really pile up in some spots in parts of eastern Tennessee in the mountains and into the mountains of North Carolina and the Virginias. In fact, I think several inches of snow, maybe a few localized 4 or 5 inch amounts possible up in the mountains by the time the snow tapers off tonight. Tomorrow, chilly high pressure builds in. We'll see highs in the Piedmont in the upper 40s and lower 50s. Friday to be low in some mid 50s, but then we get a reinforcing shot of colder air over the weekend. So there's Saturday, pretty cold high pressure building in, so I think Saturday and Sunday especially, it'll be 40s for highs. And the Piedmont lows getting well down into the 20s. Now next week, this is how the GFS looks for Monday and Tuesday, and finally Wednesday. And the models have kind of switched to solutions. You had on some earlier European model runs, a little system moving through earlier mid next work week. This time around, the European is dry during that time frame. And boy, this is, I mean, what a totally different look between the two models. There's the European valid Wednesday evening, and on the European here, you got a surface low up here in Iowa and Minnesota, cold front trailing down from that, high pressure departing the Carolinas. Same time frame, exact same time frame with the GFS. You have a little coastal low down here around Florida, and high pressure back here in parts of the Ohio Valley and the Mississippi Valley. So totally different look in the modeling as we get into early and mid parts of next week. All right, that is it for today. Thank you for watching today's edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.